Good evening, everyone. I, Miss Mayuri, on behalf of Vishwakarma Publication, welcome you all to the live event of the launch of the ebook Seconds Later by none other than Vani Kaushal. Vani's book, Seconds Later, represented by the book bakers and published by Vishwakarma Publications, is a romantic thriller based on the theme of fame gone wrong that would appeal to youngsters who would be able to identify with her character. Joining with us today for the event, we have Mr. Suhail Mathur. Suhail Mathur is an award-winning and best-selling author of the historical mythological fictions, the Bhairav Putras, and the mythological fantasy The Hunt for Rama's Bow, a TEDx speaker, and is one of the country's premier literary agents via his agency, The Book Bakers, through which he has worked on more than 800 books. We are honored to have you, sir.
Thank
He
you so
has
much.
sold several book to screen deals, worked with several actors, cricketers, and best-selling authors, apart from having written and worked on web series, TV shows, and animated series. He is currently working in a leading general entertainment channel where he looks into new show development and acquisition of international animation shows and movies and Indian live action content.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Then we have Mr. Vishal Soni, who is the CEO of our Vishwakarma Publications. He began his career as a lecturer in management and was assistant professor at Vishwakarma Global Business School till 2012. He has authored multiple books on computer and marketing subjects and is now a proud publisher of varied range of English, Marathi and Hindi books. Then next goes our special face of today's evening, the author of the book Vani Kaushal. Vani is an international author, journalist, and a popular columnist. She has been widely interviewed by national and international media, both print and television. She took a plunge into the world of fiction writing after working as a business journalist for leading newspapers, The Times of India and the Financial Express. Vani explores the other side of fame in her latest romantic thriller, Seconds Later. The novel has been steadily climbing up the charts ever since its worldwide release with rave reviews in popular media. Vani has already been profiled by international media houses like Transcontinental Times, apart from the Tribune, Sunday Guardian, the Indian Express, Dainik Bhaskar, and Doordarshan. She splits her time between reading and writing columns for online platforms like Quint, Scroll, and Open Magazine. There is more information about her on her website named vaniauthor.com, where you can read about her extraordinary and exceptional personality, which won't grant me time to narrate everything at this moment. We welcome you, ma'am. We are honored to have you in today's evening. Then, last but not the least, I would like to introduce the moderator of this session, Ssumit Kashyap. Ssumit Kashyap is a motivator, aspiring writer, and an avid reader. He is commonly heard saying, people who get most connected are the ones who stay connected. This is because he trusts and believes in networking and is very fond of bonding with people. He is driven by his intellect to find answers to the most pressing questions. His intellectual curiosity also drives him to be a lifelong learner. He believes in nurturing the strengths and talents of the people and build teams committed to achieve common goals. He believes that sooner or later, if you are different, it definitely scares people. Most evidently, he believes to be live. I would now request Mr. Ssumit Kashyap to take over from here with Vani ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayuri. And I'm very glad to be on the screen with you, all of you guys, and especially the personalities like of Mr. Sohail, Mr. Vishal, and of course, our limelight of the show, author Vani Kaushal. So today,
Thank
I am, you're welcome. Today, I am going to, of course, I am the moderator, but I am also the reader of this book. And I'm pretty sure that all of you must have read this at least once. And if not yet, I'm going to tell you why you should do it. So, Title Seconds Later comprises of two seemingly unrelated sections of equal length, appended by a slim and quality shocking coda showcasing the pros and cons of being famous. As my friend Mayuri just said, that it shows us that what happens when you become famous and what are the pros and cons. But I will tell you more about it. In the prologue of this book of Vani's romantic thriller, a young girl named Nikita is lying in the pool of blood right next to the person who has stabbed her. Now you must be thinking, what is this book about? Is it about a murder of a person or something of that sort? But I'll tell you that the story flashes into the past, which embarks on the journey of self discovery. Nikita's love, determined to see the world of fame and charm, sets her out of Bhubaneswar to Mumbai against the wish of her well known father, who wants her to be a civil servant. But she wants to be famous. She's a small town girl who is still in college and gets a chance to appear for a VJ hunt and strikes her dream job in a TV channel. She takes a leap. But before she takes a leap, her father opposes the idea of her becoming a VJ. I just told you that he wanted her to be a civil servant, but she never wanted to do that. Until one day, she takes a leap, she packs her bags and heads out to find the fame. You need to read her journey to become the dream of her fans around the world. So much so that not only fans call her up on her show from Dubai, Philippines, Maldives, Sri Lanka, or many such countries, but a fan who is a footballer decides to travel down from London to see her. Now, you must be thinking, who's this footballer? So, there are many such questions, like who was that footballer? What made Nikita run from her house? Who helped her to get this job, or maybe to become this famous? And most evidently, and most pressing questions are that why was she lying in the pool of blood? Who stabbed her, and why? You will have to find it out when you read the book seconds later.
you. Seconds
But,
later, we all know.
but along with Nikita, there have been other pivotal characters in this book, or novel, I must say, like the footballer I mentioned. And there is one bank employee as well, who's going to intrigue you throughout the book. And of course, Nikita's boss, who sets out the tone of the story quite well. Apparently, it's just the second novel of Vani that reads like the work of an author who has published many books over many years. You know why? Because one finishes, seconds later is left wondering what other writers are not doing with their freedom. I am still dipping my toes into the literary fiction of food. Though I have many things to talk about seconds later, but here I would like to take a pause. You know why? Because my friend Vani, my friend Mayuri just said that we have the celebrity amongst us, Vani. But before that, I would like to request the team Vishkarma to play the video of the introduction of seconds later for us.
Seconds Later is the story of a young celebrity being stalked. The book is a romantic thriller and it came about from my own experiences in life. Namaste. My name is Vani, and growing up, all I ever wanted was to be famous. The main protagonist of my novel, Nikita, is also like me. She dreams of a life of fame. What she doesn't realize is that fame is not for everybody, that it can swallow you up if you aren't too careful. Nikita is stabbed and lying in a pool of blood next to her killer when she realizes what she has lost. But what she doesn't know is whether life will give her a second chance to be with the one she loves. Read my new novel to find out more. As a romance writer, I take inspiration from many other writers. Jane Austen is one of them, and I simply love her book, Pride and Prejudice. It's one of my favorites. My next new book is for my tribe. In it, I explore themes that are dear to us women, but those that we seldom talk about. Maybe because we are shy or we are told not to. I hope for it to be an entertaining read, and if I'm able to also offer something alongside all that fun, I would call it a job well done. Thank you so much.
So, guys, that was a short intro of Seconds Later, which I'm sure you are going to head towards Amazon to buy it. But before that, I have a few questions, not only for Vani, but for Suhail and for Vishal as well. Uh, but before that, I would like to have the questions and answers started with Vani. Vani, tell us how difficult was it to write this book? Because what I have read in this book is there are multiple characters, like two, three, four characters, and that to be then their set of parents and rest of the other people who are connected with them. How difficult was it to write this kind of a book?
Um, Thank you so much, Sumit, for that lovely introduction. You created a lot of intrigue in your whole speech. You know, you've given a lot of question marks to whoever is listening to us, and I hope readers because of your introduction. At least somebody out there would want to read this book and find out, what has happened to this girl. And she's so young; she's all of 19. The most difficult parts were that, I've written this from multiple points of view. So you've read the book, know that there is her fans point of view, then there is the celebrities who are there, their point of view is there. So I think writing it and making it all very authentic as well, because there are a few men, and actually the novel is populated by a lot of men, and there are just two ladies actually who I would say, are really worth talking about. One is the Nikita, and then her maid also. So she plays a major part. So I had difficulty putting everything, writing everything in the most authentic way possible. But other than that, I think it was very exciting. It was exciting to research all these characters, to know more about their life. I've never been to Mumbai. I've only traveled to Mumbai twice. I have an idea about, how TV rooms work and all that. So I had to actually use Google Maps. I had to visit office of a local production, like their a local channel, and I had to literally eat the head of the production, like production producers and guys over there. I didn't know anything about football, so that was pretty much some research required there as well. But overall, it was fun. You know, when you're passionate about something, it's not hard work anymore. You're just driven to do more of it every day. So
Absolutely,
it's just
I totally agree to that, Vani. But I you spoke about characters, and of course, I don't want to spill the beans, by saying that who all the characters are. As I've already said, that there is a footballer, a bank person, and the boss. But I would still want to know that how did you come up with all these characters that to be in one story and taking all of them parallelly?
Yeah, so what happened was, so I'll just go to the place where the germ of this thing came to me. So I was just sitting in my bedroom and I just had this feeling like somebody was looking at me, somebody was talking me or staring at me, or and it wasn't a very well-intentioned stare. So and I've faced that a lot when I was like in my growing up years, and it made me feel like I was scared in that 1 second, and I felt very vulnerable. But then I said, then I just relaxed into that feeling, and I just felt that fear completely when you don't know who's looking at you, who's talking you, who has these ill intentions towards you, and you feel that raw fear in your stomach, in the pit of your stomach. I think that's when I got into that flow where the whole story came to me that there is a young celebrity. She has given like she wants fame at any cost, and she's left her parents. And then what happens? And then what happens? So to be very honest, I didn't have to really plan that that her father is going to be an advocate, or she or her boyfriend is going to be somebody. Like, I didn't have to plan anything. Once it started flowing, I got into that mode, and these characters just started speaking in my head. So the first character that came to me was Samir, and he started speaking to me like I could hear his voice. And once I started hearing these voices, could just the whole story started flowing. The difficult most part is the rewrites. It's like, okay, once that story flows and you've dumped it all into the paper, I think it's like rewriting and revising, and what is it that you have written. And the banker's character was the one that came to me at the end. So that was after the rejection process and all. That was like added at the end, but I think that was also very authentic. The voice, I can still hear him speaking in my head. So
We
so
will
basically,
certainly come to those
I,
rejections.
yeah, yeah, I get into that flow, and the story starts coming.
Right, I totally understand. But coming to the story, did you create that storyboard before you started writing, or I mean, like you have just said that how the story came into your mind, but did you actually created a storyboard, or it just came out in a flow or something of that sort? Tell us and tell our viewers as well.
So the whole creative process is driven by your gut feeling, your intuition. I knew in my mind I like the number seven a lot. So I knew there are going to be seven chapters. So this reminds me, I was just talking to Suhail a week ago, and this was about I was discussing with him my new book, and he said, Vani, how many chapters are you going to have? I said five, because there is a gut feeling that five would be. So he said, okay, how many words per chapter? I said 20,000, or maybe 15,000 is what he said. So he quickly multiplied, and he was like, oh, that means these many pages, and this. So it's like gut feeling. You just know you will not have 180 chapters, and you will just have seven, and it'll flow like this. But yeah, then once you have that, then I have a fair sense of where the story is going in each chapter, and my only effort is to keep it pushing forward. There has to be something happening in every chapter. It has to be a page turn. So that's where I put in major amount of my effort. Like every page, it has to keep you awake. If you want to sleep, I'll not let you sleep. I think if you tell me tomorrow, Vanya, I couldn't sleep and I will just finish. Your son, you said, was reading the
Yes.
novel, like that.
Yes, absolutely. My
Yeah.
10-year-old started this novel, though this is for 18 plus people, but my son is a 10-year-old. He started to read this book, and he completed it in 5 days. And I was like, "What is happening, man?" So he was like, once he starts, he used to like just turn over the pages, and he finished it off in 5 days. So okay, so that's very nice. But you know what? what I noticed was that towards the end, though I would not spill the beans again, I would say that I would not say what happened in the end. But I think that is my personal hunch that throughout the story, I was thinking of a different end altogether. Different as in a end which has contemplated in my mind, and I was thinking that this is going to be the end. This is going to be the end. But in the last page, in the last chapter, the last page, the end totally changed. The novel finished as if something different has happened in this world. So did you I mean, like, did this thing come to you automatically, or have you reworked on it? Please tell us something about it.
So there were basically two endings. One ending was what you everybody might have thought of. It's like, okay, yahi hoega. This is what we typically think, that this is how the novel has progressed till now, and this is what will happen. But after that, my novel got rejected. So that Suhail will be able to talk to you more about. But after it got rejected, I revised, and there were a lot of revisions on this novel. And after the revisions, the ending that I came up with is what you read. And I think I was more satisfied with that ending, the ending that it has now. But yeah, the story changes in the last two pages.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I was telling you, that in the last two pages, it was like dunya hi badal gayi types. you know. So as you very rightly mentioned, that there are many things which Sohail would be able to tell us. So I'll quickly turn up to Sohail. Sohail, if I may ask you that this book, what I think came to you in the year 2017 or 2018, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong when you will answer. That when this book landed in your inbox and till the time it got printed, what had been your journey?
See, basically, Vani and I were working on another project, and as is a discussion that we have with a lot of authors, we try to work on multiple projects, because so many of our authors, and Vani included, have so many diverse stories to tell that we don't want to limit them to just one that they're working on currently. So whenever they're working on one, there's always another story, in the background which we are discussing and working on. So I was well aware of, seconds later when it was in the works, and I thought it was very different, very unique, because even if you were to compare it from her previous book, it was a slight departure in terms of the broad genre, which I felt was great, because I always try to encourage my authors to break the ceiling and try something different, because I truly believe that you can't really put an author in a particular category, even if they want to break out. This is a problem that is there very often in our industry, that people want to stereotype, but at the end of the day, creativity is creativity, and creativity can only come to the fore if it's unshackled. So
Absolutely.
so the thing is that I thought it was a great story. It had a bit of everything. It had characters who were resilient in whatever they wanted to do, good or bad, right? But they were resilient in their approach. It had hint of romance, it had hint of drama, and it had hint of obsession too. It was mixed, very seamlessly together. I thought it was a great story, and I remember having a chat with Vani also about the thing that you mentioned. And as Vani rightly said, that sometimes what happens is that writer has to go with their own conviction rather than what market forces are dictating, or certain uh, you know people who are reading the book may, because at the end of the day, anyone who's even a publisher or an editor, they are at the end of the day readers, and a reader's perspective will change from book to book. Every reader will have a different takeaway from a particular project. So what is important is that the author's original vision, or the story that the author wants to convey, remains the same, because that way, even if someone wasn't to appreciate the storyline, at least the author will have the satisfaction of telling the story they wanted to, rather than living in regret that I wish I would have gone with something else. I mean, prime example of that is this movie Delhi 6. It's Abhishek Bachchan's birthday also today, so timely reminder. But happy birthday to him. In the end, Abhishek Bachchan's character is shot, but he eventually comes back to life. And I've read so many articles of Rakesh Mehra, and he's also written that in his recent book. that he'd shot two versions of it, much like how Vani mentioned about the two endings, and he wanted the character to die, right? But I think Rishi Kapoor, strongly was against the idea of the hero dying at the end, so he changed it. And now, because the film did not do as well as per his expectations, he always had a regret that had I changed the ending, it might have worked better. So it's better to go with your original thought, or the thought that you really believe in, rather than living in regret. So I'm very happy that Vani went ahead with her conviction, and it's also very important, Sumit, that someone believes in that conviction at the end of the day. And
Absolutely.
that's where Vishal and the Vishwakarma team come in, who were very supportive and encouraging of the author's vision. Because until and unless you don't find a publisher who sees a vision in the book,
Yeah.
they're not going to promote it at the scale, or have a belief in the story that an author would want their publishers to. So I thought that it's always about the right kind of people joining in with the right kind of synergies, which takes the book further. And very very happy and lucky that this team has come together, and hopefully you'll be seeing a lot more of this trio in the future.
I
Absolutely,
want
Vani.
to I want to add that, and this is the Suhail knows about it, but I just want to say that as an author, you you can't take all this struggle if you don't have people to support you. So, of
Absolutely.
course, I have my loved ones supporting me with Suhail and the entire team at Book Bakers. I mean, designing this cover, I still talk to her at night. I'm like, man, I love you. I love her face. And the whole team, I'm not on WhatsApp, but the whole team of book bakers, the authors, the Nidhi, Suhail, even his family, Samaira, who just came and showed the book, and
Yeah.
the whole so supportive. They just take all that baggage and burden off your head. It's like आप बस लिखो और बाकी आप टेंशन मत लो. So
Correct.
I was like, once I spoke to him the first time, when I spoke to him, I was like, ठीक है वानी तेरा भला हो जाएगा. So then I was tension free. And still, when I have a project in my mind, once I have spoken to him and he said, yes, 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 send it across. I'm tension free. And you will hear that from everybody. God knows how he does it. But somewhere along he takes so much of burden from everybody. God bless him.
So, Vani,
Thank you
Vani,
so
very
much.
well said. Very well said. With this, so well, I have another question. Though you have said a lot about what happened, or
Yeah.
how things happens, but still, I want to know that what made you believe in this story? What made this story stand out?
Sure. So what happens is that my process of liking a story or coming on board is very individualistic and different from what others may do. So what I usually do is that I just ask the authors to send me a sample, one a couple of chapters and a one-page synopsis,
Okay.
and that is enough for me to know whether I would want to be a part of that project or not, because it has to come from within. The
Yeah.
synopsis gives me an idea about the storyline, and the sample gives me an idea about the writing style, so what kind of a story is going to come in what manner later on. So if that strikes a chord with you, I don't see any reason why one should not take it up. So it was pretty much an instantaneous decision. I had also seen the wide coverage and the widespread success that Vani's earlier book had received. So obviously was wanting to collaborate with her. It's always wonderful to collaborate with the talented authors, and so we were all looking forward to that opportunity, which finally manifested itself in the form of seconds later. But it was pretty simple for me. I took a look and I said that yes, let's do it. So it has to come from within. Vani is
Wow.
saying that how I do it. It's very simple. If you like it, then you'll go for it. If you don't have the conviction, you'll not be able to sell it to anyone.
Absolutely.
It's
I
as
agree.
simple as that. So that really worked for me. As I mentioned that the book has so many varied things happening in the book that doesn't let the reader get bored. And Vani has also, as you yourself mentioned, you know pulled a twist at the end, and thrown the readers off. I think that's something which is a rarity these days, that even if it's a twist, you know by the last chapter what it's going to be. You take it to the
Correct.
last page is a rarity, and I think that just speaks volumes about her story and also her writing style, which engages people to the very last page. So when you have such kind of books, it just becomes easy and simple, yeah, to take it up. So I was hooked. The second I read it, and I didn't have to wait seconds later to decide. So the the moment I saw it, I took it up.
Lovely, lovely. So coming on to the next part, Sohail, uh, as you said that it came within,
Yeah.
that you knew that this is going to hit the nail right in the butt. So how easy or maybe how hard was it to pitch to the publisher as the publisher is sitting right in front of us? So how easy or hard was it to convince him to print this book or publish it?
Sure. So what happens basically is that the industry has certain norms per se. I mean, I'm talking about the industry, the publishing industry in general. That non-fiction these days is generally the more accepted genre that people like to prefer. Publishers like to prefer over fiction. But I've always believed that a story, if good, needs to be told, irrespective of the genre, right? So, unfortunately, there are certain publishing houses in the country who are keeping the flag of fiction high and running, and all these people, I think, are braver than the ones who are only looking for non-fiction books in the country. They might be bigger publishers, but I think you need to be brave. Anyone can play a safe bet, and uh, I think recent history, this week's history has told us that even if you try playing safe, it may not work for you in the longer run, right?
True.
So the idea is to be brave. The idea is to be brave and have conviction in your book, because there is a market for fiction. There is a market for fiction. People want to read stories. A story has to resonate and correlate with fiction, because in
True.
non-fiction the story is organically created. You're just jotting it down, researching, yes, very important, very crucial. But in a fiction, the story is the brainchild of the author.
Correct.
So, and every author brings something different to the table, you know and that is where the creativity and the future of India as its storytellers lies. Because if you try to basically put fiction in a box, or try to uh, cage it, in the longer run it's not going to help the creativity in our country,
True.
because non-fiction is based on events which will happen few and far in between,
Yeah.
but fiction is based on the creativity of the mind, and
Yes.
talented authors have a new idea every minute, every day. So you can understand how many ideas we would be caging if we're doing that. So I think
Absolutely.
great, it's absolutely wonderful that writers like Vani bring out such stories which are a pleasure to read. But even more, I would like to applaud publishers like Vishwakarma Publications, who are showing the faith in the book. It's very important to do so. I've always believed that even more than the person who has the talent, the person who recognizes that talent needs to be applauded. So in this case, of course, Vishwakarma Publications coming on board and taking it forward. So yes, I do feel that as I said, it's a wonderful trio, and you'd hopefully see a lot more from us in the coming times.
Absolutely. That's such a delightful thing to say and to witness in future as well. So coming
Thank you.
to Vishal uh, from our publication Vishkarma. So what are the key points you look in the book before you take it on? Because there must be certain things our viewers would like to know that what a publication house sees into that creativity.
Uh, See, basic things, very basic things that we would like to know. First is the title. Generally, when we get the proposal, right, we assume it as a working title. We generally don't freeze it. There are chances that after the editings and edits have happened, the title may change. So at least the working title has to be good first. It has to be appealing. It should sound good something or the other, right? Second thing is the writing style of the author. It has to be very simple, fluid, and people should understand. Less of jargons is always, accepted, because as you told, your 10-year-old boy, son who started reading. So if there are a lot of jargons, it might, let them,
Absolutely.
push it down. They will keep it as aside. So that should not happen much. So that is one thing. Characterization. You should, when you are reading that particular about the character, and when the character is introduced, you should feel that the character is sitting beside you. So again, that is very important. And it has to be very gripping, suspense or whatever is there. It has to be there, na? So that you feel like reading the entire book. And when you feel like reading the entire book and you go to the last page and you read it, that means the story has done well. And that is a
Absolutely.
time, and that is a time when reader will start talking, अरे यार ये book पढ़, ये book अच्छा है, इसमें
Right.
बहुत मजा आता है. You start sharing your book with your friends or a friend
Yeah.
circle, where if you have a group, a reading group is there, so you start sharing amongst each other. You start talking about the author. You then wait for the book to come, the second book to come. So these all things is what we do. And finally, one more point is, we also would like to see that author also talks about the book and promotes the book.
Yeah.
Great. So,
Because
just out of curiosity, Vishalji, do you also read the entire book before publicizing it, or is it the editor's job?
no. See, before the book is selected, and reading entire books, no, we will never publish books then. So it is not possible to read the entire script,
True.
right? So it is, as Soel said, synopsis, how the story goes ahead, and some sample chapters. And
All
we
right.
we also read the profile of the author. So
All
we
right.
come to know that the book will be good enough. So there are many
Great.
instances where after reading the entire book, there are books that we have either asked some changes or we've rejected also. It
All right.
happens, but then that is, not much. So in hundreds, you will say 3, 4 books or 5 books, not much, but it
Great.
happens. So it has to be. So that is how we do. Otherwise, if we start reading entire books, then it is not possible.
Then it is going to be very, very difficult. Of course,
Uh,
I can totally make
uh,
that. So,
uh.
Vishalji, what made you take on Vani's book?
I think I answered all of them, and we've almost
There
spoken
must be,
about it.
there must be some specific things which you must have, come through.
Vishal,
Maybe.
maybe he wants you to specifically talk about. I think maybe you can. Did you like the title?
Yeah, title is
Absolutely.
good. Seconds later, so the title is good enough, but the writing style, we like the most. And generally, when our review team is there, they see the entire in totality. So it is not one point, but as I mentioned you, we have a checklist. When we start writing, is the writing style good? Okay, 10% of that. Is characterization good? Okay, 20% of that. How is the plot? 10% of that. So there is a total average, and then we find out, okay, now this is what we can go on to.
Wow. Lovely.
So that is, we see, we'll have to do that, otherwise we'll never come out with any books. And I think in
Lovely.
this last 1 year, 2 year, if you see our fiction list, right, it has improved a lot. The stories have improved a lot. The books have come up very good. And I think most of them all have come from Sohel. And you
Wow.
see the books, and it has raised, the graph has raised now, and we are happy that we are a publisher who publishes, as so that we are also into fiction, so a true publisher who publishes both kind of genres, non-fiction,
Yeah.
fiction, right? But you are known by fiction. A
Absolutely.
publisher is always
Absolutely.
known by fiction than a non-fiction. And
So, as
so now we can say Vani is our author. We feel proud, that Vani is our author. So
great.
I
it is
I
a
would just
pride
like to
and a
say.
pleasure for a publisher to be known by author's name rather than
Absolutely.
authors known by a publisher's name.
Publisher's name.
हाँ,
Absolutely.
No,
वानी हमारे ऑथर है. So वानी
I
हमारे
think
ऑथर है. हम ऐसा अगर बोलेंगे तो हमको अच्छा लगता है कि नहीं,
अच्छा
वानी
लगता है.
हमारे author है,
Yes.
ऐसा.
So विशाल जी एक चीज बताइए, जैसे सोहेल की स्क्रीन पे एक बड़ा वार्म सा वेलकम आ रहा है विद द हेलो.
Hi.
सो तो वो जो एक वार्म रिसेप्शन है जो अभी सोहेल की स्क्रीन से आ रहा है, वैसा ही वार्म रिसेप्शन हमारे को वानी की बुक में भी देखने को मिल रहा है. सो व्हाट आर योर थॉट्स ऑन दैट?
सर अभी तक तो बुक इज डूइंग वेरी गुड एंड अभी तो जस्ट लॉन्च होके भी कितना समय हो गया है, हार्डली कुछ हुआ है एंड इट इज डूइंग वेरी गुड. पीपल हैव
Amazing.
अप्रिशिएटेड इट एंड लॉट ऑफ न्यूज़पेपर्स हैव कवर्ड इट and Cyrus has we had a session with Cyrus and then so many
Right.
things, right? So all efforts, Vani's efforts are there, and our efforts, as I always say, is placing the books at the right place so that the readers can avail and get the books. So I play always a role of a publisher, and authors, I always request authors to play a role of an author, of talking to the talking about the book, spreading the word of the book, because author's story can be, authors can only talk about their story. If we
Absolutely.
start talking, and it becomes very difficult for a publisher to speak about so many books. So
Agreed.
but uh, religiously we see to it that the books are placed at right places, so
Lovely.
that the
Lovely.
reader will not be disappointed and he would get the books.
Lovely. So with these thoughts, with all of your thoughts,
Second, I
yes, please.
wanted to I wanted to add that it's been a pleasure working with Vishwakarma, and the whole team is like the most wonderful people. And Meko, like they just take, जैसे Suhail is like godsend. Even Vishwakarma Publications is godsend. For me, just talking to the team is like, okay, I don't need to be stressed about anything. It's all effortless, and I just have so much regard in my heart for both of these people, for my publisher and my literary agent and my literary agency. So just so thankful and blessed to have them.
Yes,
Lovely.
Sumit, I
Lovely.
just wanted to add one thing. I just wanted to add one thing
Yes.
which I forgot. It was very interesting that, Vani mentioned that these characters spoke to her, you know. And at the
Okay.
moment, and at another point of time, she also mentioned that, she hadn't been to Mumbai too frequently, so she wasn't well versed with how this setup works, or she did not have, too much of an idea about the sport of football. That is where, you actually see the spirit of the author, number one,
Absolutely.
and the adherence to stay true to their story. The character spoke to her and said, I was a footballer. She could have changed it to a cricketer if she found that sport
True.
more interesting, and we would never have gotten to know that.
Absolutely.
Or it could have been changed to some other sport too.
Yeah.
To stay true to that vision, do research and bring it out, speaks volumes about the craft and the dedication towards that craft. And when an author spends that much time and effort on honing that skill, I think the result is there for all to see, and it becomes a universally accepted book. So I think your son is the youngest reader thus far, and my congratulations to him. I think
Thank you.
if we have people in the country who start reading fiction from the age of 10 years, I think our country is just going to go on the right path. So please, wish him and encourage him to keep on the right track as he is. But yes,
Absolutely.
I think this is another facet of Vani's which I wanted to mention. We were talking about the research that people have to do when they're doing a non-fiction book,
Yeah.
but fiction may have its own set of challenges. you know
Absolutely.
she didn't know about the
Actually,
sport, she has to be
yeah,
please
what
go
you
ahead.
mentioned, even Cyrus mentioned, because there was a prominent Parsi character in the book. And right,
Yes.
I have no idea how Parsis are represented, and they're represented generally in very stereotypical ways. So that was an effort to create a very authentic Parsi family. And coming from Cyrus Brocha, he said, Vani, I could feel my father speaking to me when I was reading about Cyrus Daruwala's character. So that was like, okay, maybe I did my job well. So yeah, a lot of research. I got out of my comfort zone, but I really enjoyed it.
I think the
Absolutely.
name would have spoken to him first,
Yeah.
considering both are Cyrus.
So
Yes.
coming onto this research part, Vani, even in fact, I like the part wherein there is this footballer, and you have mentioned about his accident as well, wherein after that, how it has affected him. So, I would not say much about it. Otherwise, the story is going to be story is going to come out. But on that note, can we go ahead and do some more exciting thing today? On the occasion of Saraswati Puja and Basant Panchami, let's go ahead and launch the e version of Seconds Later.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I'm not sure because the Kindle version is actually coming out on the 7th. But in any case, at least I can show this is my Kindle. And yeah, I'm reading a couple of books. So on the 7th, I will also have my book here. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Lovely,
Yeah,
lovely,
can't
amazing.
wait.
So, congratulations, Vani. Congratulations, Sohail. Congratulations, Vishal,
Thanks so
on
much.
the
Thank you.
success. And I would say that this Trimurti is going to last forever and do wonders. I'm pretty sure about it.
Right.
So,
Thank
Thank
you
you so
so
much.
much. Thank you.
so now let's talk about let's talk about fame, which is very, very prominently mentioned in this book, Second Data, how fame has gone wrong, what are the pros and cons of being famous. Because,
Yeah.
for us, for people like us who are at the level wherever we think that, this person is at this level, so he might be very, very happy, and people know him or people know her or something of that sort, maybe cricketers, maybe prominent writers, maybe the celebrities of Bollywood, or maybe anything or anybody for that matter. So we have our own thinking. But this book, Seconds Later, tells us the story that how the fame goes wrong, and what bad could happen if the things would not go in the right direction. So to do that, I would first like to request Team Vishkarma to play the video where Cyrus Brocha and Vani are talking. First of all, I would like to tell you guys, this is for our viewers, that this clip is a part of Cyrus Brocha's podcast, Cyrus Says. It is available for your ears on Spotify and for your eyes to watch it on YouTube. I request the team to play the video for you.
Vani, Vani. People are going online and buying it right now. Yeah.
I'm glad that is happening, because that's the ultimate thing that any
Can
writer
I?
wishes for.
Yes, the ultimate compliment I always believe, just with comedians and all that, is do people laugh? Then you're a comedian. You can't talk about how good the comedy was. That's a waste of everybody's time, honestly. It very
Yeah.
often isn't in any case. But they laugh, you're successful. The book, if you read it and I read it in 2 hours. You can't do that normally. A lot of books are difficult for us to read it these days. It's very racy, it's very fast. And I'm not saying because of the sex scenes, but
It's
things happen
fast paced,
non-stop.
right?
It's
So
very
it's
fast
fast
paced.
paced.
It's very fast paced. There's no hold up. It's an easy read, quick and fast for me. It's not like, oh God, what's coming now? There's no hold up. Things happen all the time, and you keep cross cutting between the characters, which is very interesting because it's almost like a fresh movie now or fresh book coming in because now I'm getting his perspective. The whole thing has changed.
Lovely, lovely.
Nice. Nice.
That was something which, Cyrus has said it in a minute, but I would totally relate to it, that every page, every line had something coming up. And it was, as a reader, I must say that it was dwindling in my mind that what is going to happen next, and I could not leave the book. So that is something wherein when Cyrus says that, that's a successful write. That's what I can say. But to move forward, Vani, what I feel is that the narrative gives an equal space to the celebrities and their fans. So we have already spoken about research, wherein we had just stopped before we launched the ebook. How much of research went into writing the story of multiple points of views. This is what I'm sure this is what the viewers or the listeners of this show would want to know. Was it challenging to write the characters in this scenes as well?
So I could have written it just from the celebrity's point of view, because generally what you read in the newspapers is, the celebrity, some celebrity gets caught in a brawl at a restaurant. You just look at it from just one single point of view. But for me, I thought, why not explore what is going on in the celebrity's mind at that same time, what is going on in the fans' mind, what is going on in the police wala's mind. So I just wanted to explore, and they all have background stories. So there is something happening in their life, and all of them, by some magnetic force, are into this event together. So, for instance, the novel starts with an incident where Nikita is stabbed by her fan. Now, where is Nikita is a celebrity and she has a background of her own, why she came into this field and all that. The fan has a story of his own. And that is what I wanted to capture. And the research part of that was very interesting, because creating very unique storylines for all of these, very believable storylines for all of these, like a pagal fan hai, then a celebrity hai, she has her own story, why she wants fame, and particularly writing about fame was very interesting, because everybody wants fame. I told you, growing up at age of like maybe 6 or 7, and I'm sure you have a child, and so Suhail has a child, and Vishal has a child. Everybody wants to be a YouTube star or an Instagram. You want to have some millions of followers on Instagram and Twitter and whatnot. But what you don't realize very often is that there is another side of fame. Like, the other side of fame might not be like, when my first book came out, people started sending me marriage proposals on Facebook. I was like, what is that? And then once I didn't have tagging restrictions that time, so I was tagged in obscene videos on Facebook, and everybody on my friend list, they came to know what is going on, and I was so embarrassed by it all. So I realized what can happen to you. And I'm sure, I'm actually nobody, but people who are really having like millions and thousands of fans, for them it might be really very difficult. So I wanted to explore that angle fully, but the only problem was keeping it to this word limit, because you can write it. I can probably write a second part. If Suhail is listening to me, I can write a second part to this, but
Which
you
will be called
can.
seconds later.
Seconds later.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, if that answers your question, it was very
Great.
exciting for me.
Absolutely. So this seconds later, this title gets me onto a question for Sohail. Sohail, what is market looking for at the moment in fiction?
I think the market for fiction within its ambit, the ambit that there is, albeit limited, but nonetheless there, is looking for a lot of fiction. So the good thing within fiction is that creativity is not curbed, and you could do a romance book, you could do an amalgamation of genres. It could be a romantic drama, a romantic thriller. It could be a thriller within it, espionage, or murder mystery. Then there are your historicals, mythologicals, and fantasies, which really do well. Horror is something that's picking up, has been picking up for the past 3-4 years, quite well. And yeah, I think probably science fiction is something that needs to come up, and comedy. Those two things need to come up. Comedy is still, making its presence felt gradually. Again, we'd done a very successful book with Vishwakarma, which was a comedy book. It had tales of humor. It's called Tales from the Gymkhana by Amitabh Sarvate, and it's very good. It's in a PG Woodhouse kind of style. So it's quite nice, and it has its own following. Science fiction is something that I'd like to see. Firstly, authors write, and then secondly, see publishers take. Problem with science fiction also, now that we're discussing it, could be that everything is alien in that world.
True.
what happens is that, in a normal setup, it's very important for the reader to have some sort of connectivity. When I say connectivity, even if you're doing a fantasy book for that matter, you know, it could be related to Indian mythology.
True.
So the names, the settings would still be something you could relate to for the characters.
Yeah.
In a science fiction, mostly the chances are that the names, the characters, the settings would be in a totally different realm. So that is a challenge that the publishers face, because if an author is able to connect with it, he'll probably write a good story. But if the reader is not, then the book will not sell. So we need to also understand both sides of the game, because at the end of the day, as I always say, that we are on only one side of the spectrum. The readers are the other side, and they also determine what sells and what doesn't sell, because all of us are creative people. We do not want to curb anyone's creativity, but what we also need to see is how the market is functioning, so that we can traverse a path of creativity and creative success at the same point of time.
Lovely, lovely. So, with this, having said that,
We've
coming
we've
to
failed in
Vishalji,
science fiction books.
yeah, coming
We
to
failed in
coming.
science fiction book.
Right. Okay. So, coming to Vishalji, Vishal, tell us, while authors often have dream publishers, what sort of authors are dream authors for publishers?
Good question.
I think Vishal has some problem in your connection. Oh, okay,
Is
we
it?
can hear you. Yeah. Now we can hear you.
You can hear me.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. See, dream authors, if you say na. So first thing is, the book has to be written very well. An author should, I'll give you one small example. When we had a small launch program many years ago, and we launched the book, and then there were questions for authors, and author couldn't answer it. So book written by an author and all those things, and he couldn't answer. Now we were so embarrassed. Then our editor took up the questions and started answering in between and helped, the show go on. So that is what we don't require. We require somebody, an author who, as Sohail said, na, the conviction of the author, whatever you ask, the author should be able to answer them. One, the author should speak about the book, because the stories are sold only by authors,
True.
right? Publisher will always do marketing, but
Yeah.
author will do always storytelling. So there is a difference between an publisher speaking and an author speaking. See, the word entirely changes. ये तो अपनी book का marketing कर रहा है, but when author speaks about the book, she's storytelling. So that is a difference. So there
Yeah.
are two this thing, and then the writing style and all those things. And in today's world, yes, author has to be social media friendly.
Lovely.
So there are
Lovely.
many still people who are not yet social media friendly. So they have to have some social media connections where they have to promote through their social media channels.
So,
Very
so having
interesting. Very interesting. I'll give you a very recent example. Just 2 days ago, I was talking to an author we've recently signed up, and we were discussing the marketing plan. So he said that I'm on no social media. Okay, nowhere.
okay.
I don't like being on social media. So I said, how is anyone in the world going to know that you've written a book? How? Just envisage how. You're not going to spam them by sending WhatsApp saying I've written a book, right? So that was the only
True.
platform he was available on. See, if you're not on Facebook, not on Instagram, not on Twitter, anywhere, how will someone get to know that you've written a book? And
It's like there
there's no
are
answer. The answer is that you have to come, at
You
least
have
on
to.
one platform, to make
Absolutely.
people understand what's happening. So till such
At
time that
least
doesn't,
somewhere, at least
yeah,
somewhere your presence should
yeah,
be there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so having said that, in
We
the
tried
interest of
that also,
time,
huh? Sumit, we
yeah.
tried also that. We signed an author, we published a book where he was nowhere on social media, and we've failed miserably.
Oh,
So it
I
doesn't
can, I
happen.
can, I can totally understand that. So again, as I said, in the interest of time, let's see the response 2 seconds later from the readers and the newspapers. I request the team to please play the video of the readers and newspapers book review.
it's a very pulsating work of fiction on fame and glamour. Really one of the best suspense thrillers that I've read lately. You won't want to put this one down.
Loved all the characters and couldn't help feeling bad for Samir. Please keep writing books. Can't wait for the next one.
Plots and twists are so perfectly well placed. I recommend everyone to just go buy it and read it.
Lovely, lovely. So,
Amazing coverage. Amazing coverage.
Yeah, I just
Yes.
have to add something, and I need your blessings for that. I am on Doordarshan News tonight at 11:30. They have a program airing. I just got the message from Doordarshan team. Doordarshan News पे आज आप 11:30 tune into Cinema की दुनिया, and I think my section is a little, like, it's very little as compared. I had a full complete interview with them last time. This time they just included a bite from me, so I think that will play around 11:45. So please, tonight, and I think I will be sharing it later on my YouTube, on my social media platforms as well. But 11:30 tonight, and I think my
Perfect.
section will be at 11:45. Doordarshan News.
That's lovely. That's lovely. So, guys, Doordarshan News, 11:45. Vani is going to feature. So, please tune in. Before we move forward, and we have very little time, and I'm getting messages from around the world to ask many questions, but I don't think that I would be able to cover all of them. But I have one question for each of you on the promotions. That Vani, how do you reach out to your readers, to newspapers or to celebrities?
I am a newspaper person. I worked as a journalist for like I worked as a journalist for about 5-6 years with Times of India and Financial Express. So मैं कोई शर्म नहीं करती. I am not scared to just toot my horn and like, okay, this is my name, this is my book, and I write my own press release. I do not work with any PR agency because I believe I know the best about myself and my book. So I create a press release. I call up people I call them up and I tell them, can I send you my book for review? And they are so welcoming. Touch wood. They are like, okay, send it across, and that's it. That's it.
Lovely.
I think you need to just have courage, and you can do. Anybody can do it. Please do it.
Agreed. As Vani said, courage. You should have courage. So, Suhail, tell me, what role does a literary agency plays in supporting a book post the release?
Interesting. So see, the primary function of a literary agency would be, to get a publishing contract for the author and a publisher who believes in it. But what we've always said is that, we never work on a book. We always work on the author, because a book is going to be one, but an author is going to write many. So the idea is to, work on and with the author. And that can only happen when you also do things, post the book's launch. So in whichever manner we can promote the book, reach out to, we have a very, very thriving Instagram and Facebook page. We keep on sharing achievements of our authors over there. Any news coverage that comes in, or any event that is there, we just try to amplify the same over there, so that more and more people can get to know about it. Because see, the thing is that your book, whether it sells or not, the ultimate decision is in the reader's hands. But to even give it a chance for them to make that decision, you need to make them aware that such a product exists in the market in the first place. So that is what we need to do. I think when multiple people join in together, there will be a certain section of that populace who will be common to, say, the author, the agency, or the publisher. But there'll be other people who will be coming in organically. And even if you're able to convert one person, you've done your job well, because you'll not be doing just one post. It'll be a series of concentrated efforts that you'll be putting in. So every time, if you are able to do so, it works. Also it helps, sometimes people get to know about the author, and the author is then called for a literary festival. When they called for a
Yes.
literary festival, they speak more, they engage with a new set of readers, they meet more people from the literary fraternity, the circle grows. So, it's everything's not sales dependent, but it's also, as I said, author profiling dependent. And sooner or later it works. And it's very simple, Sumit, very simple. When someone starts off with their first book, they have a reader base of zero, right?
True.
Because they haven't written anything, so they don't have any readers.
Correct.
When they do their second book, they have a reader base of at least those people who read the first one and liked it.
True.
So when they do their third, they have a reader base of the past two books. So with every successive book an author is doing, the reader base is increasing. And
Increasing.
that's how the growth of an author is measured in.
Lovely. So that sales part brings me a question and moves me towards Vishal, that there are many avenues to promote a book, but let's say all of them, does not lead to the sales. In that case, how can an author decide what to choose and what to refuse?
Vishal,
You're talking to me? Okay.
Vishal,
I'm
Vishal.
I'm talking to Vishal. Yeah. This question is for Vishal, the publisher.
Yeah. See, I always tell authors that there are two ways of promoting a book, right? One, author has to promote oneself, right? You have to talk about the book and say that I am the best author. So, but it has to go in a subtle manner, right? And you have to convince people that your story is the best story. So unless you read that story, you won't come to know. So you have to make people read first. So that is one
Agree.
part of it, which may convert to sale or no, I don't know. The second part is sales part of it. So there are one is a branding part of it, one is a sales part of it, where actual sales should happen. And I always believe that publishers generally like us, we would always put our efforts where the conversion should happen, because
Absolutely.
everything again boils down to sustainability also,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So it is a business, and unless it is sustainable, how would we get more authors and publish them? So the
Agree.
efforts for us should be always converting. Efforts of authors should be always converting people, telling that yes, I'm a good author, my book is good. I would always prefer if Vani, whenever comes to Mumbai or next time she is in anywhere in India, go to various bookstores, talk to them, right? There are 3, 4 bookstores in Bombay. If she whenever visits to Bombay, like Kitab Khana is there, Title Waves is there,
Right.
other books are there. Go there, talk to them. See, when a bookseller is talking to an author, they have a different perception,
Absolutely.
and they immediately judge the author. हाँ, अरे यार ये अच्छा लिखा है करके. And it is how good author speaks to them. Automatically they चलो ठीक है हम एक दो बुक्स रखते हैं. And वो एक
Right.
दो बुक्स जब वहां से उठ जाती है और चली जाती है, and then the cycle starts. So
True.
there's a branding on author. So next time whenever Vani's book will come, okay, Vani की पहली बुक गई थी, ये बुक भी रखो आप.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. I agree.
that is
Got
what
it.
it is. If the
Got
books are
it.
not moving from a bookstore, it becomes difficult then.
Agreed. You know what? My phone is totally loaded with the questions. People on Facebook, they are my friends. They are just asking me questions through my phone. That ask this to Suhail, ask this to Vishal, ask this to Vani. But of course, I am pretty sure that we are short of time, so we cannot take many questions. But
Sumit,
what
we
I
have
can
I guess, winner of the
sorry.
readers contest. Winner. We have to announce the winner of the
Yes,
readers
yes,
contest.
that's where I am coming upon. That now what I'll do is I'll hand it over back to my friend. But before that, we have heard such amazing thoughts and feeds, which I'm sure our viewers were looking in for. Garrison Killer once said that a book is a gift you can open again and again. And mark my words, guys, seconds later, authored by Vani, is not going to let you down. So book your copy from Amazon now. Right.
Thank
So
you.
I hand it over back to my friend for a vote of thanks and the readers contest as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So here on the
So Akanksha
screen,
Goyal.
on the screen, the name has flashed. The winner of the contest is Akanksha Goyal.
Akanksha
Many
Goyal.
congratulations to the winner.
Congratulations. Many congratulations to the winner.
Congratulations, Akanksha.
What she won? She's won a copy of the book.
She has won a copy of the
Signed,
book. Yes.
signed
Yes.
copy. Signed copy. Author's signed
Yes.
copy.
Author
Signed
signed.
copy of the book. Yes.
Superb.
Yes.
Lovely.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Vishal. Thank you, Suhail. Thank you, Sumit.
Thank you.
My
Thank you. Been a
pleasure.
pleasure to be here. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So here
My
comes our
pleasure.
friend Mayuri, and over to you.
Thank you, sir. It was so nice listening to you, all of you, Vani ma'am, sir, Suhail sir, and everyone. Now I take over to present the vote of thanks. I, Ms. Mayuri, on behalf of Vishwakarma Publications, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the author Vani ma'am for a wonderful discussion and our viewers for their encouraging comments. I can see the comments are flooding in the chat box incessantly. We wish you the very best for your book, Vani ma'am, and the readers a very happy reading. I would like to express my sincere thanks to Suhail Mathur sir for joining us for the launch event and also to have introduced us to the author. I also wish to express my gratitude towards Sumit sir to have found time from his busy schedule to moderate the event. I am also very grateful to Vishal sir for launching the book. I also extend my thanks towards Minakshi, Ayushi, Neha, and Nupur for their enormous cooperation in the organization of this beautiful event. Thank you all once again and wish you all a very happy reading, keep enjoying, and Vani ma'am, keep writing and blessing us with the treat of reading. Thank you so much, everyone, and we'll
Thank
wind
you.
up for the day.
Thanks
See
so
you
much.
all
And guys,
Thank
do
soon.
you
not
and looking forward.
guys do not forget that Kindle edition is going to come out on 7th February, and tonight at 10:45, you need to be at Doordarshan
11:45.
11:45.
11:45
11.
to witness Vani there. All right, guys, take care. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
See you, everyone.
Yes.
Hi.
It's still
I
live.
I think it's live.